Today on rLounge, we aren't as stupid as we look. Don't come at us with your fake coupons and your false claims. We're locked and loaded. Karens beware. Up first, a Karen takes her couponing skills to the next level. Karen tries to pay with fake coupons. Background. I used to exclusively sell cell phones inside of a middle-class retail chain. The service was actually ran by a different company than the retail chain itself. We would provide all of the nicer cell phones, iPhones and Samsung Galaxies, $800 to $1,500, and the retail chain provided the cheaper prepaid cell phones. My team and I would sell all the phones, but only we could sell the nicer phones. At the time of this incident, I was the team lead for my store, meaning that when it came to the nicer cell phones, I was the final word. We never discounted the phones directly, but various service providers would authorize rebates and incentives, and that was it. When you bought a nicer phone from us, we would directly pull up your service provider account and set up the phone directly, and then would provide any discounts, credits, or rewards. We were also able to report fraud through the system. The story. It was like a slow day at the cell phone station, so I decided to do a cold sale lap of the store, leaving a newer team member, let's call her Tina, in charge of the cell phone area for the 20 to 30 minutes it would take to find someone to buy a phone. I was gone maybe 10 minutes before I got a call from the store manager asking me to get back to the cell phone station because there was an issue. When I get back, I see Tina is about to cry while an overweight Karen is holding a small piece of paper and yelling at her. As I get closer, I hear the word coupon, and I immediately know what's about to go down. Less than a week ago, Tina had accepted several fake coupons. My day off and her partner called out without telling me, and severely discounted the nicer phones on the fake coupons. She was new, and we hadn't covered that you can never discount the phones yourself, nor that we never had coupons for these. Afterwards, I made it clear to her that our team will never discount the phones. Cut back to the present. I see the store manager watching from around the corner. I waved him off and strode forward. Facing Tina, I asked what's going on. Tina let me know that the Karen wanted the newest iPhone and was trying to use a 99% off coupon. Before she could continue, the Karen cut in, "I don't know what the issue is. She accepted these coupons last week for my friends." Karen then pushed the coupons towards Tina, like that would magically change the situation. I told Tina to take an extra 15 in the back, and then turned back to the Karen. I was pissed, and I think it was showing just a bit, because Karen flinched. When I hadn't been in too much trouble over the coupon issue the week prior, I had been passed over for a promotion to another store because of it, and I was not in the mood. Not only was she basically trying to steal a phone, she had specifically targeted Tina. Who told you that Tina would accept this ridiculously fake coupon? Was it Kathy? We had records for the nicer phones, and Kathy's account was banned from every one of our locations because of the prior incident. Karen became pale at the last question, and I think she realized that she was in trouble. She tried to mention something about the retail chain accepting these types of coupons, and I laughed. I explained that the retail chain didn't have any say over the nicer phones, and that we worked for a different company. She tried to insist that we had already taken these coupons before, so why couldn't she use them now? At this point, I was done and told her, in no uncertain terms, that we will never discount the nicer phones, and that she would not be purchasing phones from this location, period. Fortunately for me, the store manager had hung around, and I called him over. "Can you call asset protection?" I picked up the coupon and handed it to him. Using a fake coupon is stealing, and this woman also knows Kathy from last week. Karen tried to run, but we were lucky in that police were already at the entrance from an entirely separate issue. I heard later that Karen did get past them initially, but the police were informed of the situation and were able to detain Karen before she made it to her car, and then arrested Karen. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened after that, but I did give a statement about the incident 2 weeks later to the police, so I think charges were filed. Now let's check with the community for a couple of comments. JohnMan300 said, "Instant karma. Awesome." Broad Woodpecker 180 chimes in, "Sounds like you work for the same company I used to work for. Oftentimes, though, not always fraud is easy to detect. They always seem so surprised when caught. We would sell the phones for specific providers, and it's always, I don't know my password. Can't I just buy the phone? Way to go for protecting your coworker." Just an old baby boomer wants to say, "I presume these entitled thieves all get permabanned." The OP replies, "I actually don't know. I ended up leaving that company about a month after the end of this post. I do know that location I worked at had her picture in their ban book when I left, but that isn't permanent." Interesting sock 9142 quips, 99% off for the newest iPhone? Get out of here. Wow. People will literally try anything these days. We really have to watch our backs out there. Scammers will never stop taking advantage of fresh employees. It's a good thing you were there to support Tina. You handled her and Karen beautifully. I'm just sorry to hear you got a bit burned from the previous coupon incident and missed out on the promotion. But 99% off? Really? That's highly unlikely. Sometimes, as employees, we have to use a bit of our brains to avoid situations like this. We can't let Karens fool us. Have you had a Karen try to pull a fast one on you? What did she do, and how did you handle it? Let us know in the comments below. Next up, a Karen that will eat you out of house and home. Karen tries to pay for fast food with her race card. GM, General Manager. AM, Assistant Manager. K, Karen, African American. Me, Caucasian. Joe, 16-year-old part-time cashier, Hispanic. John, 42-year-old full-time cook, Caucasian. Background. I was working as an assistant manager for a burger chain with local owners. Anybody who has worked with me knows that I will always take my job seriously on the clock, no matter what job that is. Here, that means that I fixed customer complaints within reason, ran in the store, GM worked a fluctuating schedule, so the 3 assistant managers were in charge if GM wasn't present during my shifts and filled in any spot in the store as needed. One thing I tried to do whenever possible was to support and believe my coworkers, as I had to work with them, but rarely did I have to work with customers, as most complaints could be handled by the cashier. This happened during a slow afternoon with light staffing. I was in the back going through a checklist for store maintenance when I start to hear a whole lot of cussing and insults, and not from the kitchen with John, which wouldn't have surprised me. I quickly make my way up front and generally ask what the issue is. Joe starts to speak, but Karen interrupts him with a snap and says, "The chicken in my sandwich is dry, and your employee says he can't give me a refund." He couldn't, only managers could, pointing to a literally half-eaten sandwich. Please note that her tray is covered with sides, such as fries, onion rings, pies, etc. What are you going to do to fix this? At that time, we were unable to do partial refunds. It was either the whole order got refunded or none of the order got refunded. My immediate response was, "I will personally remake the sandwich for you, no extra charge. It will be 7 minutes, as I will put in fresh chicken just for you. Joe, go take a break in the office. We need to have a talk." I apologized that he had to deal with Karen and gave him permission to trade with the pizza place across the street, which he always loved to do. Karen sat down, apparently satisfied, and I went to the kitchen. John had already dropped a new batch of chicken, as had heard the complaint. I asked him how old the chicken was, and he said 2 hours. I suddenly believed Karen and got my hopes up. I prepped the sandwich, and the moment the chicken came out of the fryer, I tested the batch and put one piece on the sandwich, wrapped it, and took it out to Karen with fresh fries and a cookie on the house. A minute faster than I said it would be. I wished Karen a good day and went back to the office to talk to Joe. I asked Joe if he had said anything other than he couldn't do a refund, which he said he hadn't. Less than 3 minutes after I sent Joe for pizza, I heard Karen screaming for attention at the front end again. When I came back, Karen again declared, "The chicken is dry. Give me a refund." Karen's tray was completely empty, sandwich eaten, and all her sides gone in about 10 minutes total, which boggled my mind. To top it off, Karen had a little smirk on her face, like she'd already won and was doing a victory lap. I paused, breathed in, and said, "No." Karen was shocked, then immediately began to scream and cuss at me, calling me a stupid white boy, called the store a waste of space, and finally repeated the chicken was dry after a solid minute of pure vitriol. I said, "Ma'am, I personally went to the kitchen to make this sandwich. I pulled your chicken out of the fryer the moment it was done, tested the batch to make sure it was perfect, and brought it straight to your table. You have eaten over $40 of food. I will not authorize a refund." The next 5 minutes were filled with her screaming insults, complaints about the food that suddenly was poorly made, and demanding a refund. I simply kept saying no throughout Karen's temper tantrum. By this point, both Joe and John were nearby and watching, as was every other customer. Karen got really quiet for a moment and then decided to play the race card. "You're only treating me like this because I am black." That really got me pissed. I fully acknowledge that my upbringing left me subconsciously distrustful of any other ethnicity and race, but I always made a point of being respectful to everybody to counter that bias. It was one of my major insecurities, especially at the time. The store became silent for only a moment before I replied, as evenly as I could, "Ma'am, I have treated with the same respect I show to everyone, and more patience than I show even my own parents. But if you really insist, I can start being racist." The sudden gasp from everybody else in the store was deafening after I spoke. Karen gaped for about 15 seconds, grabbed her purse, and left. I never saw or heard from her again, but a week later, John told me that the general manager asked both him and Joe about the incident, as Karen had left a corporate complaint. Later, the general manager asked me if I would be willing about my version. After I finished recounting my version, general manager started laughing and pulled up the video from security. He told me that he had already banned this woman from coming back and that John and Joe had recommended I get a raise. I ended up leaving a couple of months later, but every time I swing by, John always asks if I can start being racist. Let's see how the community responds. Savardius says, I don't know about racist, but I'm definitely Karenist. Good for you, and good for your boss and coworkers for backing you. Michael Scott 1776 says, Karen, you're just a stupid white boy. Also Karen, you're only treating me this way because you're racist. Really, Karen? Who is the racist one here? Also, OP the balls on you for saying, ma'am, if you want to be racist, I can be. A deleted account chimed in, $40 worth of fast food? She was lucky to be able to waddle her unreasonable butt out of there. Mr. Aishigan says, she ate all that food and then demands a refund? I'd just go, please return all the food first. You can't? Well, here's a bucket for you to vomit into, as no food equals no refund. Not an unreasonable demand. I mean, if it's that bad, why did you finish it? You seem to be a Karen magnet, but then again, the service industry is no stranger to the dreaded Karen. I think she was clearly just looking for a free 4-course meal. You handled this situation with grace, and just as an assistant manager should, OP. People will say anything and everything to try and get what they want. Kudos for you for not breaking under the pressure. Let us know what you would have done in this scenario. And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content or our channel, share that with us. We'd love to hear from you.